talking to Salome and her daughter Emily. So can you hear me, Salome? Oh, and Emily.
Hi.
Hello. How are
Hi.
you guys?
We're
Good,
good.
thank you.
Thank you for joining.
You're
Yeah,
welcome.
so
Yes.
Salome and Emily, so I've basically one of my, again, early coachees. Early in the day when I first started coaching, Emily was one of the first high school students that I coached. And where are you now, Emily?
I'm at Oxford University, which is nice.
I mean, how long? It was a while ago now when you first, when
It
your
was like
mom
five
first.
years ago.
Yeah,
She was 14, I think, when
Yeah,
she
I'm 19 now, so
it's crazy. Yeah. And do you remember kind of what you were going through when you first started? So it'll be helpful just generally, because obviously this coaching summit, and I'm so glad that you guys agreed. And it was quite last minute. I'm going to be really transparent. I was like, oh, I threw my backpack over the wall literally again, but thought it was more important to kind of raise awareness than not. Doesn't have to be perfect, but yeah, this is the great thing that Emily and Salome, are able to just come and share and hopefully want to inspire others. But yeah, when you first started, what kind of challenges as a high school student with ADHD kind of were you
well,
grappling
I
with?
was I was really struggling with obviously like with mental health stuff, with like depression and anxiety, and it got really bad to the point where um I didn't attend a lot of I missed several months of year 10, the school year, to take time out to attend like an intensive therapy course because I had a lot of issues surrounding academics, obviously, because that it was really difficult to grow up as someone with ADHD in school because I just didn't understand how I functioned and how everyone else seemed to be doing fine, and it was so difficult for me. But after that, I got my ADHD diagnosis, which really helped. And so after year 10, I really started improving. And I was medicated and I was obviously seeing you and I was having a lot more support. So it was much easier for me to then cope with school. So then I managed to go on to get into Oxford, which is obviously very impressive.
Yeah, no,
Stay so
Salome.
yourself.
No, it is really impressive because I remember, and Salome, is amazing at like your mom is your body double, ultimate body double in terms of being able to secure the support that you need. And she's just always, yeah, she's amazing. And Salome, did you want to kind of share your experience and reflecting back on kind of the support you did get, Emily?
Yeah, I mean, we were really lost. I mean, we just really kind of didn't really know what to do with it. So yeah, it was really helpful to just kind of learn more about what works for her, because we always sort of knew she was clever because you talk to her, you can tell that, but it was never kind of working with school. It was always sort of a struggle for her. And the school did try to do things like sit her at the front of the class, and the teachers would try to say, oh, Emily, but there's only so much that a teacher can do. They have 30 other students, so it's really down to you, I think, to kind of set the outline and things that, like anchoring, there were just a lot of key things that we learned, that really having a schedule that really worked for her, I think.
Yeah, no, Emily was very proactive. So she was definitely, I think Claire, who was on before, was talking about her daughter and her daughter liking the planners. And I still remember, yeah, Emily was very
You still
excited.
have the big
Yeah,
Yeah.
the flip chart.
As
So,
you can see, actually, behind my towel, I have two huge A4 like of my schedule, like A2 sheets of paper of my schedule.
the
well
flip
done.
chart is good.
Yeah, no, giving Emily the pen, it's all about, okay, Emily, over to you, and it's so important, wasn't it? Like, do you remember those sessions? So Emily would come actually to the house and, would have the flip chart. And, it was about kind of you really getting organized. But what did the body double? So obviously as your coach, what were the kind of things that kind of we did together that really helped you, would you say?
Well, it was just like, first of all, it was just having obviously like a body double, just having someone there like helping me, like obviously is huge as a starter. And just the fact that I could break it down into like manageable things, and I knew that I could be very realistic and honest about like what I thought was achievable and what I thought wasn't. Like I knew that if I said, oh, like I really don't think I'm going to be able to do that, that obviously you wouldn't, like it wasn't like a, oh, you just have to work harder. Like obviously I knew that you would understand. um and just I think being able to see it visually in sort of in very large colorful fonts is really helpful for me. um yeah, like with my A-level schedule, the number of hours I needed to do per revision paper, like that
Yeah.
it was really intense, but it really relaxed me and calmed me down. And all my friends said it was so stressful, but it's just having someone help you break it down is huge for me. That's like the main thing that I need in life. Like even today I called my mom and I was like, I'm so stressed, and she's like, okay, let's make a schedule. And I was like, okay.
Yeah, no, well, this was the great thing, because with most of my coaching now, the parents aren't there, but Salome would come, she was there all the time. And actually, I think that was really beneficial, because you're able to see kind of what we were doing, I guess, and kind of take it from there. Like how did you experience it, Salome?
Yeah, because otherwise when she would say, oh, I have all this stuff to do, and I'd be like, do it, that's your sort of normal, like go upstairs and start working. That's kind of maybe what I would have thought before I have the coaching and realized that, like Emily said, breaking it down. And I mean, that A-level thing was a piece of artwork. It really was. It was different colors, there were hours needed, there were days, times. And I know every time Emily is feeling overwhelmed, if she makes like a chart that shows, what she has to do and when, it's always just more reassuring, because that it can be done. You have the hours if you stick to that schedule, which is not always, stuck to, but you see it out there, and she realizes that it's really achievable. And I think it decreases your anxiety a bit and stuff, doesn't it, Emily?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, because I remember when, Emily came in and just completely overwhelmed. I don't know anything. I've got this stuff coming up. And that's actually, Emily, it was through coaching you that I developed kind of the gap analysis that we use for the academic coaching. It was you that kind of, kicked it off, coaching you, because it was something that really worked for you. And do you remember what we did? I made you, we went through it. Didn't make you. I don't make people do things, kind of. But yeah, I asked you, remember each subject, kind of, we looked at each one, and we even, do you remember what we did? It'd be good for you to kind of maybe explain as well.
I just remember that we would go through, it was so long ago. We would just go through each, like break it down into like the most ridiculously small things. So within each like topic, what I had to learn within each topic, within each subject, it was just a matter of breaking it down as much as possible.
And do you remember the scores?
Sorry?
We gave you metrics, the scores. We gave you metrics.
Giving me scores, like how many hours I think I needed to do for it, like how many hours I thought would be like really helpful versus like how was the minimum of numbers I could spend revising for something. Yeah, it was really helpful.
Yeah, and I remember once we did that, you were able to kind of go through each subject. I remember, and you were remember what the takeaway was. So you went through each subject, you specified the scores, so you could see, where the gaps were, and you realized what became apparent.
I was
after you went through.
what are you talking about in terms, like, as in which subjects I was bad at?
Just overall, I think you forget. Which understandable, how many. So you came in really overwhelmed, but then because you had visibly kind of worked it out, and there were numbers, you're like, oh, actually I know a lot more than what I thought I did. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
I remember we always leave feeling much better. It always just seemed, sometimes we came in very overwhelmed, but we would walk out feeling like, okay, we got this.
Yeah, this is manageable.
Yeah, you were great, absolutely great team. I mean, sometimes I found it quite entertaining sometimes, the two no, this way, between the two of you. But it was like, but you worked really well together, and I just think that you two are like role models for like how a parent of a child, a young person with ADHD, like working together. Like, you're such a great example. You set such, I wish if there were more, kind of mothers and fathers with their, working together like that, being the body double. Very lucky in that sense that you've got Salome, but also Emily, you are very, and always have been very, conscientious and determined. But there was one thing that was really preventing you from reaching your potential. Do you remember what that was? There was something you were holding back on. Do you remember?
This is a memory test.
Test.
I remember her not wanting to fail.
That was it.
Yeah.
Do you remember? I still remember that session.
Yeah, that was such an. I was so upset. Yeah, that was really stressful.
Oh, I'm so didn't mean to be. No, okay, it was
No,
stressful.
obviously it wasn't you. I was just upset, like, generally.
Yeah, but do you remember? But what happened? Like, I think it's the act of, quite often us ADHD is we don't voice these things, and so we don't change them because we're not quite aware, right? But then you kind of voiced it out loud. I remember you saying, "Well, if I don't try, I won't fail."
Yeah.
Do you remember?
Yeah, that was I remember that was very important because that was essentially how I had viewed my entire school career up to that point. If I don't try at all, then it's fine if I fail because I'm not really trying, therefore I'm not really failing. Which obviously is a terrible attitude to have, but that's what I had.
Yeah, so we uncovered that, you voiced it, and then in the coaching, I think kind of we challenged it a little bit. I kind of coached you around, well, kind of what is failure? I think and then you came to the conclusion, well,
yeah.
Do you remember?
Yeah, because because you were like, what is failure? You're not even failing right now. And I was like, no, but I feel like I'm failing. And I remember you talking me through it, and I just ended up realizing that actually what I wanted was to do well, which is why I was not trying, because I wanted to do really well. And I was scared that if I didn't try, like if I did try, I would end up actually failing because I actually wouldn't be smart enough. But obviously that is not that was very helpful to talk that through. That was a very like constant train of thought that I had that was really damaging.
That you were able to, kind of stop and turn around, which again, credit to you, because that's not an easy thing to do, because that is very much that protection, that was kind of protecting you.
Yeah.
But you were able to do it. And so I guess being able to do that, like what has that meant for you? Like, what would you say? I mean, well, you're at Oxford, but yeah, I mean, how did that help you?
Well, it just makes a big difference to like everything about how I work now. I mean, I definitely obviously still have difficulties, but at least I don't at least I want to try. At the very least I'm trying. I'm no longer stuck in that horrible like perfectionist cycle of like I'm never doing well enough, therefore I shouldn't try. Like it was it was a terrible like cycle that I was in, and I'm so glad that obviously you helped me break out of that, and so now I'm like at least able to do things more.
Yeah, and so you're at Oxford, and what are you aiming to do? What's the goal?
I would like to be a lawyer after I do my classics undergraduate degree. I would like to do a law conversion and become a lawyer. So yes, that will be exciting.
Yeah, I remember when you talked about that in coaching. That was, part of it too, wasn't it? In terms of your trying to find your motivation, kind of keeping your eye on your why. I remember working out, well, what is all of this for? Like, how come you want to get good marks? And you decided that, I want to be a lawyer. And maybe at the time, because you weren't trying, that seemed quite a stretch, but look where you are. And I mean, but very much, your mom was a massive part of this, being your body double. I mean, yeah, what would, your advice be to other parents actually in terms of
Oh,
support? Yeah.
me or my
Oh,
mom.
no. So, well,
Um,
actually both. How would you, given, how you benefited from your mum's approach to you and what she's done for you, what are the things that your mum has done that have really moved the dial for you?
Well, I just think it's the fact that she like now understands ADHD. Like she understands why I think things the way I think them, and she doesn't try and say like, "Oh, that's stupid. Just don't do that. Just don't do this." Like she really like completely understands where I'm coming from, what things I struggle with. She knows how to work around them, and I definitely think that was massively impacted by the fact that she would always come to the coaching sessions, because obviously how is she supposed to learn and understand like me, like my brain, if it works completely differently, if without attending the sessions? Like I think that yeah, to me that is completely normal, that I didn't realize that other parents didn't attend. That would seem so helpful.
Yeah, and actually, again, just proving this is the thing with coaching, right? It's definitely reciprocal, because now I'm thinking we really need to start making it a requirement, for parents to come to, the coaching sessions. Yeah, no, you're right. I mean,
It really
maybe
is.
that's why I respond so well.
And I mean, I was, when we first went, I didn't know what to expect, but I was really just kind of reaching out anywhere I could get help, because I was totally overwhelmed. I mean, Emily was just really not doing well, and I had literally no idea how to help her. So it was amazing the amount that I learned during that time. And yeah, I think it's the important thing really is to kind of understand how her brain was working, because it was not working the same as my brain did when I was a teenager. So all of the things that would have worked for me just had no effect whatsoever on her. And in fact, it would just make us kind of fight because it meant nothing to her. And I was like, but that's how you do it. Like not letting her, I wouldn't let her listen to music when she was studying. I was like, you can't listen to music, you can't concentrate. And she can, it helps her concentrate, but like
Yeah.
I didn't understand that. Like so much of it I didn't understand, that if you don't understand the problem, you can't help fix it. Not that it's a
Yeah, I
problem.
mean,
If you don't understand the challenge, you cannot overcome it.
yeah, no, that's amazing. And I think someone else was saying that, one of the university students as well was saying that her mother, same thing, didn't kind of, hang on, I wouldn't be doing it this way. Obviously, you need to, yeah. And that's where a lot of the friction was, because it wasn't helpful for the daughter who just didn't process that same way. But you guys did a good job. I remember, and that's what I meant by it being quite entertaining, because, you were still learning, Salome, about Emily's brain wiring and how she does things. But Emily was very good at advocating for herself. No, mom, it was great. It was good. She set the record straight very well, and I think, but that sets you up really well for life, Emily, that you so appreciate like the way you do things. You know what you need. You know what you need, and you can communicate it, and you can get your needs met.
But I
I
think
think
she
that is
learned a lot of that with
I was going to
you.
say I learned that through coaching. Like I definitely didn't understand what I wanted or what I needed nearly as well before coaching, because obviously I didn't really understand ADHD either. Like obviously I understood that the way I work seemed to be different, but I didn't understand why or how I could work around it. Coaching definitely helped me with that. I definitely wouldn't be able to be as assertive as I am and as I was without that.
That's
I agree.
amazing. So it was really empowering. I'm not sure what your mom thinks though. I was like,
Yeah,
right.
I totally agree. I totally agree. It taught her to stand up for kind of, what she needs, and not to be embarrassed about it or any, it's just like, this is the way it is. I need da 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 da. I need, and just realize for herself, she needs a hook every day or she just won't
Yeah,
get it
I
done.
remember that actually. Yeah, in when she was doing her plan, she always had to add the sweetener. I need this. It is like, and you'd be like, but no, mom, I need. Otherwise, this plan's going out the window. Yeah, you're very good. Yeah, I guess it really gave you that confidence, Emily, to be able to put, to kind of push back and kind of be able to go, no, this is really what I need. And And I think then you got the evidence, because obviously it worked for you, you know, those plans that you set yourself, the incentives. You must be very proud, Salome.
I am.
Yeah. And now you're at Oxford, and how are things going at uni?
They're good. I mean, they're obviously quite stressful because it's a very stressful environment, but generally things are going well. I mean, like in terms of coaching specifically, I wouldn't also be able to get the kind of accessibility that I need from like disabled, like DAS, like the disabled student support, without coaching as well, because obviously they're not really helpful. They don't really want to, they don't make a huge effort to try and give you all your options. Like, you really have to push for yourself if you want something. And I definitely think that coaching was really helpful for that, because just it's difficult to get
I
the
remember when we were asking, we were at school, we were saying, oh, I don't know if they're going to give that. You're like, I'm a lawyer, so they are going to give that. I was like, yes, you're right, they are. So like, just the idea that someone's like standing up for you, you know, behind all of that as well.
I remember that. That's hilarious.
that was really helpful.
Yeah.
According to the Disabled Act, under this law.
Exactly.
Oh, you remember? Maybe that's what kind of, you know, was that maybe inspired you to become a lawyer there? I don't know. I could. Yeah, well, it's definitely needed, isn't it? But no, honestly, I've had, like, it's been a journey, and you know, it's just been so much fun. And like, I remember during the pandemic as well, kind of catching up with you guys, and you're doing the yoga at the time. But I just think you guys are such role models for, you know, our parents and young people with ADHD. Salome, yeah, it's amazing what you've been able to achieve for Emily. And yeah, Emily is now very much kind of on her way to fulfilling her potential. And that's, you know, down to you for making sure you got her the support she needed. And then Emily very much kind of really just stepping into her power, you know, because she's powerful. She, you know, was always there. And, you know, she's going to do great things, no doubt.
Thank you.
Well summed up.
Yeah, no, honestly. So I'd love to, obviously continue the journey, see how you go. But thank you again, last minute. That you showed up. And I think it's gonna be really useful for people. So this is gonna be we're recording it, and we're gonna probably, you know, again, bite size and kind of disseminate it, because, you know, your message is gonna be really impactful for young people with ADHD that need that support. I mean, Salome, I guess last word from you, I guess, in terms of other parents that are struggling, because it can be scary. You know, ADHD has got some negative, really, you know, in school can really, you know, these kids, you know, there's a lot of kids that refuse to go to school, you know, because of their ADHD, their rejection sensitivity, you know, I mean, what would your advice be to parents in that position where they're really worried about the
Yeah, well, I mean, it is really worrying, because a lot of it, I mean, when they're younger, it was a bit distracting, but it didn't really matter so much. But I think I mean, Emily just literally thought she was stupid and lazy for such a long time. And fortunately, I think we were able to kind of get around that, but it can just lead to depression and just so much, you know, you can just really down spiral. And you really have to be able to understand it to stop it and to reverse it, because it can be a superpower, but if it's not understood, it can really be very harmful. I don't think that the world and school isn't really set up for, you know, it's like I always felt like it was like a square peg going through a round, you know. I always felt it was a bit like it was just sort of fighting. I mean, school works for some people, but it's not really set up for kids with ADHD.
Yeah, no, definitely not. It's hard to navigate, but yeah, I'm glad with, you know, your help, Emily found a way and is massively thriving. But yeah, I guess the message, it is about leaning into support, right? As a parent, you know, of kids with ADHD, so hard to do it on your own. And, you know, particularly when the stakes are high, you should find people that can help, because it's not easy. So that personally as well, you know, in terms of my children too, right? We can't do it all. yeah, so leaning into interdependence, definitely. So guys, thank you so much for coming.
No.
Yeah, amazing. And let's catch up soon.